Shalom, shalom. Yahabashim Yahushai Brakatah. What do you have for your guidance? What do you have for your blessings? This is your brand new day, brand new Sabbath. Shabbat shalom to everybody out there. You're trying to wake up the Israelites, man. Wake up the people, the salt of the earth, man. We give the flavor of the people, man. All right, we here to edify the people the best way we can by being the salt. All right, saints advocating law and truth. All right, that's what salt stands for. So we're gonna get into the topic of the split of Israel into two kingdoms. All right, trying to understand what is the difference of these terms that we see in the scriptures. We talk about Jew and Gentile and all these the drafting in and all this stuff. Understanding what that means, basically. All right, but we have to understand the history of what happened to Israel. All right, we can't just jump in the Bible and start at the New Testament and think you're gonna understand what it's talking about, right? Without getting the history. All right. So what we're dealing with today is the 12 tribes. All right, the 12 tribes of Israel. As we see, I got the little ephah going on here to represent the 12 tribes. 12 tribes of Israel. All right. Rep your tribe, rep your tribe. Benjamin all day, howling. All right, but let's get into this class. All right. First, what we gonna do? Where I want to start. Let's start at First Kings. First Kings chapter 11, and go at verse 1. Let me know when you get there. First Kings chapter 1, right? I say chapter 11, verse 1. Sorry. All right, so we're going to try to get into dealing with from Solomon time. All right. So it says, but King Solomon loved many strange women, all right, together with the daughters of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Amorites, Edomites, and Zidonites. Zidonites. Salaki. the Zidonians and Hittites, all right, of the nations concerning which the Lord Yahweh said unto the children of Israel, Ye shall not go in to them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Right? Solomon cleave unto these in love. Right? So the point there is what the Most High was saying, not to join with them, with these other nation women, because they will turn away the kids, basically, because who raised the kids? The mothers, right? So they're gonna turn your kids and your heart after a while, because it, women are very persuasive when it comes to the men. They could either uplift their men with their words, or they could break their men down with their words. You see what I'm saying? Because we follow men. That's what the Bible talks about. Don't give your strength unto women, because we do hearken and follow and do things for women. Majority of the time when you look at this world, everything that does, even wars, a lot of wars are being fought for women and children. You see what I'm saying? Because you want to make sure they are happy, they are safe, so we go to war and do different things for our women, right? Even fights occur because of women sometimes, right? But you like this person, and like, you find this person trying to talk, so you go try to fight with this person. It don't even have to be the woman being the one that's setting them up. It could just be them on their own thing. But then also it have wicked women out here that will play with people's feelings and get certain things started up and routed up, right? So a lot of things, happens because of women, right? Um, and we see examples of it all the way back into the scriptures, all right? He could go all the way back to Eve, right? Um, so it talks about not dealing with these other women because they will. It said, "For surely they will turn away their heart after their gods." And what's one of the main commandments? Well, one of the first commandments that we see is have no other gods besides our Most High, right? And that's the thing with what Solomon was doing by dealing with his other women. He fell off. All right, let's see. Verse 3, it says, "And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart." Right? It says, "For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David, his father." Right? It says, "For Solomon went after." Well, let me see if instead of going through all this, right? Because basically he started worshiping those different idols of his wives, right? I'm trying to see the find where he goes straight to the point. Verse verse I'm gonna just kind of go through it. Verse 6, it says, "And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord Yahweh, and went not fully after the Lord Yahweh, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Shemos, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon." Right? Those are the Chinese and the Japanese today, right? It says, "And likewise did he for all the strange wives which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods." Right? So he made altars and stuff to make this possible for them to keep doing. So not only that he allowed it, he actually also went in and worshiped their gods too. All right. So, "And the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from the Lord Yahweh, God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice." Right. It says, let me see if I can skip down. So verse 12. No, no, no. Verse 11, it says, "Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for so much as," when I stop at verse 10, Salakia. Verse 10, "and had commanded him concerning these things, this thing, that he should not go after other gods. But he kept not that which the Lord commanded." Right? Verse 11, "Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, For as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee." Right? Which means to take the kingdom out of thy hand, right? "And will give it to thy servant." Right? It says, "Notwithstanding in thy days, I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake." So that's the kingdom of Judah, right? The kingdom of Judah is what he left, right, for Solomon's son, right? That's where you get into um, what's his name? Jeroboam, right? Because you had Rehoboam and Jeroboam, right? Um, so the two kings basically, which I'm not trying to skip forward too far, so I don't want to skip the main points. So let me see. So he split the kingdom between his those two. Where his son got the kingdom of Judah, right? Um, let me see. Let me see. Make sure I'm hitting the main points. I'm gonna jump to verse 28. All right, verse 28. All right. So it says, and the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor, and Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. Right. And it came to pass at the time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem that the prophet Ahijah, the Shilonite, found him in the way, and he had shut and he had clad himself with a new garment, right? And they two were alone in the field, and Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. So now it's given a now the garment is basically like a similitude or a parable in a sense. He's basically about to give him about the nation of Israel, out of 12 tribes basically. So the new garment is basically what he's talking about. He's talking about Israel. Rent into 12 pieces. And he said unto Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces from thus, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to thee. I think I was speaking too fast. I think I mentioned Jeroboam was getting the tribe of Judah, but I think I speak a little too fast. Maybe I missed something. I don't think I did, but I'm gonna just double check it myself. I think I just misspoke and I said Jeroboam was the one who get a kingdom. I think I misspoke when I said that. But so Jeroboam is basically he's getting the 10 tribes, right? Which is basically considered the northern kingdom. That's what you'll call it. That's how we know it today, southern and northern kingdom. So the kingdom of Judah will be considered the southern kingdom, and the kingdom of the northern kingdom will be considered the kingdom of Israel. All right. So when you see it talks about I make a covenant with Judah and with Israel, it's talking about the two kingdoms. It's talking about the kingdom of Judah and the kingdom of Israel. Talking about the whole 12 tribes of Israel as one. But it had a split, so that's why he named them separately, Judah and Israel. Kingdom of Judah was considered the Jews, right? The Jews is not the whole tribe of Israel. Jews is just a couple tribes. You can say three, right? The Jews were is short for Judah because the kingdom of Judah. Because when Christ walked the earth, they had the Benjamites, they had the Judites, and they had the Levites in that land. Moses was from the tribe of Levi. Paul, Mordecai, these different brothers was from the tribe of Benjamin. King Solomon, King David, Christ, all these brothers came from the tribe of Judah. So we see those names more prominent in the land at that time. Yes, you had other tribes that was there, a couple different tribes that was still with them, but majority of the people is who we talking about. All right, because Levi came back after. It was Benjamin. It was Judah. Benjamin was dwelling with them, and then Levi came along after. Right. Um. So, well, where was that verse 29? It says, and it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet I think I'll pass that already, right? Um, verse 32. Right? I read 31 already, right? Yes. Verse 32. But he said, have one tribe. But he shall have one tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because that they have forsaken me and have worshipped Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Zidonine, Zidians. Yeah, yeah, that's how I always be getting this stuff mixed up. That's why people doesn't want to read the Old Testament, but I be trying to get it. You know what I'm saying? King James version, because some of the things is kind of hard to pronounce, but I try. You know, so you gotta try, right? So the Chemos, um, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father. Right? It says, howbeit I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life, for David my servant's sake, whom I choose, because he kept my commandments and my statutes. Right? Now that shows you people like to talk about David a lot, saying that he wasn't perfect, how he committed adultery and stuff like that. Yes, he did commit adultery, which is a sin. But the Most High still look at him as somebody perfect and who he choose and who he deal with. Why? Because he repented. You can sin. Being perfect isn't that you haven't sinned at all. That's not what being perfect means. Being perfect is knowing that you did something wrong and correcting yourself and doing what God wants you to do and keeping it in a righteous way and not going back to that sin. That's being perfect. Because why? You recognize you're wrong, you corrected it according to the law, and you stayed away from it. Right? And you stayed on the path where the Most High wants you to do. That's basically being perfect. Not I ain't never sinned. So that's why every time somebody say, "Well, why we can't be perfect?" People love to say, "Well, we all sin, so nobody could be perfect. Nobody could keep the law because." But why will Christ tell you to do something that He know you can't do? Is you trying to say Christ is deceitful? You trying to say Christ tell lies? You trying to trick you up, catch you? Is that what you're trying to say? No. That means we can do it, but you have to actually want to do it, though. You can't bring a horse to water and force him to drink. That horse has to want to drink. So Christ came to be an example to show us that we can do it. But according to this world and society, it teaches that we can't, right? Because it's easy just to say I believe and don't do no work. So everybody run to those things. But the Bible tells us that we have to have faith and works. You have to show by your works your faith. Because if you don't believe in Christ, you're not going to do the work that He told you to do. Because if Christ tell you to keep the commandments, why would He tell you to do something that's going to give you the kingdom? He said, if you want the kingdom, keep the commandments. But you try to say that we can't keep it. But that's not what Christ was teaching. Christ said that you can keep it. So who are we supposed to listen to? Man or Christ? Or God? Because Christ is doing what God said him to do. He's teaching what God sent him to teach. That's why he said, I come not to do my own will, but the will of the Father that sent me. All right. So not 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 saying, well, nobody could be perfect, right? We all have sin, but we can be perfect by changing our ways from our sin to keeping the commandments. That's how we can be perfect. He said, "Be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect." He tell us to be perfect, so we can do it. All right. So, um, verse 35. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes. Right. Verse 36. And unto his son will I give one tribe. Right. That David, my servant, may have all. Slakia, my servant may have a light away always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen, um, which I have chosen me to put my name there, right? And I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all that thy soul desired, and shall be king over Israel, right? And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and will walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be that I will be with thee, and build thee a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. Right? Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt unto Shishak, right, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. So you see how quick, somebody could turn on you from your own people just because, certain things is not going your way. So like I said, that's what the Bible says, prove all people, man. Because even your own people, you gotta prove them too. You just can't think that nobody's gonna turn on you. The Most High, He controls these things. He could turn your heart when whatever which way He see fit. You know what I mean? If you think you're not gonna listen to Him and you're gonna get your way any kind of way, it ain't gonna work that way. Soon as he started doing what Moses told him not to do, the Moses took the kingdom from Solomon. And what he tried to do? Now he tried to kill Jeroboam because the Mosai is basically giving him the kingdom that he had. Right? We see we could have enemies within our own people here. Even how Saul was trying to kill David. We the same people, but we could be enemies within our people. That's why the Mosai was teaching, love thy enemies. Because we have enemies within our own people. But we are not supposed to be like that. Supposed to forgive your brother, right? That way you could gain a brother back. Right? If you do you something wrong, turn the other cheek. Forgive him. It's not saying to do that with the other nations, because our people have no problem turning the other cheek for the other nations, but they will hate their own people. That shows you that those curses are very strong in our people. All right, Deuteronomy 28, verse 54. We have an evil eye towards each other, but we will love these other nations. We have no problem saying, well, we got to forgive them, but we will have that. We will hold a grudge, which is a sin to hold a grudge against your brother. We will hold a grudge against our own people. Man. All right. These are the things that we do. So we see the things of how this stuff matches up to what the Most High been showing us and why we in the predicament that we in today. It been going on since back then. We always had an evil eye towards each other, a certain thing. When we go wrong, though, see, once we start doing wrong, you see how more wrong that start seeping in. But that's where we have to keep the commandments in track and stay on that narrow path, right? Solomon started going off, and the Most High start, correcting him, chastising and punishing him for that, right? What I left off at till the death of Solomon, verse 41. All right, that's where I left off at. Yeah, it says, and the rest of the acts of Solomon and all that he did and his wisdom are they not written in the book? So it says, and the rest of the acts of Solomon and all that he did and all his wisdom are they not written in the book of Acts of Solomon, of the Acts of Solomon, and the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years, and Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David his father. And and this is who took over. And Rehoboam, his son, reigned in his stead. So I said it the other way around. I said Jeroboam was the king of, but it's Rehoboam is who took over the kingdom of Judah, and Jeroboam was the king. He became king of the Israelites, right? Of the kingdom of Israel, the northern kingdom, right? That's what the split is. So now you have the southern kingdom of Judah, which is ran by Rehoboam, and then they got the northern kingdom of Israel, that's basically ran by Jeroboam. All right. So, excuse me. So from there, we could jump into verse verse. I'm gonna start at verse 1 from chapter 12. All right. So let's continue going. All right. You there, right? Chapter 12, same First Kings. Like we just read chapter 11, last verse 43. So I'm gonna keep going from chapter 12, verse 1. All right, it says, and Rehoboam went to uh, Shechem, for all Israel will come to Shechem to make him king. Right, and it came to pass when Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him, right? Because remember, the prophet came and told him that he was gonna give him that remember he rented his coat. He given him 10 tribes, right? So he fled for his life in Egypt from Solomon. So when he heard of his death and heard that there was going to king Rehoboam, right? So that now he's they sent for him, right? That they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, thy father made a yoke grievous, right? Because he was basically ruling over them. Solomon started, making certain things hard on them in a sense, right? So he says, thy father, made our yoke grievous, right? Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke which he put up upon us lighter, and we will serve thee. So basically, that was their way trying to reconcile, right, the differences and bring the nation back together as one. That's what they was trying to do, right? But as we'll see how that play out. So this was that olive leaf that was trying to be reached out to kind of reconcile stuff, right? Um, so he says, verse 5, and he said unto them, depart yet for thee, he said, depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed. So that gave him time to go consult with his people, basically, right? He says, and King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, right? So the counselors of Solomon still dealt with Rehoboam. So they stayed, and so he's consulted with these people who still dealt with his father, right? It says, and said, how do ye advise that I may answer this people? And they spake unto him, saying, If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and will serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever. Right? So even the council that he asks of the same people who consulted with his father, he asked them, what should we do? They said, well, if you do speak nice and deal with them nice, they will serve thee. So they actually was kind of for the coming back, in a sense, right? Now it goes into Now it goes into where I left off at verse 8. So it says, but he forsook the counsel of the old men which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him. Now we see this today, where we forsake the teachings of our elders, the people who supposed to have more experience, who done been through stuff. We forsake their counsel, and we will counsel with our own peers, the people with us on our